Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet Immediate Post-Match Reaction Pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson, and it's my dubious pleasure to come to you on this, what should have been a lovely Sunday. I mean, why are you having this kind of 4:30pm kick-off on a Sunday? I know it's all part of the stupid Sky deal, but the daffodils are out. It's a bit sunny for a wee while in Glasgow this afternoon, but I'm hearing it's going to be snow hitting Scotland tonight, and that's certainly how it feels. A bit chilly around here after we've lost 2-0 to Aberdeen at Pittodrie. Michael Beale's 100% record against everybody other than Celtic has now gone, and Michael Beale, who's never gained ground on Celtic in the league after any weekend in the SPFL Premiership, now finds himself, finally the first time ever Celtic have dropped points in the SPFL Premiership to anybody other than Rangers, and that was a draw, so he didn't gain ground on them. He's actually lost ground on Celtic for the first time in the SPFL Premiership. We're now looking at a situation where I think we'll be fairly safe in that the SPFL will arrange Celtic's visit to Ibrox for maybe the third fixture in the post-split fixtures. But Celtic just need one win to secure the title now. And this isn't what we're thinking about, was it? This was all part of the build-up to next week, and that was always the danger. We're hoping that this is part of the oldest kind of two-part narrative in the book. Steven Gerrard's first win over Celtic as Rangers manager came after he lost a shocking late equaliser to a poor Hibs team at Ibrox. A disappointing result, a gutting result. It was almost like you're kind of taking the breath that you need to finally beat Celtic. And when you're doing that, somebody else comes in and takes advantage. Same thing today. We're hoping that's what it's going to be today. Aberdeen, this is the first time that we've lost at Pittodrie since 2016. We have to take cognizance of that and give the club in general a bit of credit, considering where we've been since 2012. But it's Michael Beale, as I say, it's his first loss against anybody other than Celtic. The first drop points against anybody other than Celtic. So there's that. We're hoping that this, as I say, meant that we're taking a wee breath today because we're concentrating next week and finally we will beat Celtic. But you can't switch it on and off. This was always the danger. It's when you see what's happened today, when you get that feeling again, you're seeing Aberdeen celebrating, beating us, or everybody's cup final, blah, blah, blah. It's horrible. And I have to admit, I'm a bit concerned with Michael Beale's post-match interview. If he just come out there and said, well, rubbish today, wasn't good enough, blah, 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 I'd be more confident. Maybe he's just shown my age. Barry Robson's talking about transitions and triggers. I had no idea what he was talking about. Apparently it was football. So maybe I'm just showing my age and what I expect from a Rangers manager. As I say, Walter Smith is the benchmark for me, but things have moved on since Walter's time, obviously. But to me, I just expect the Rangers manager to come and say, we were rubbish, we weren't good enough. And that's a wee kick in the teeth to the players, and it gets them extra focused to do the job, the biggest job that they need to do this season. Finally overcoming Celtic, stopping Celtic winning a treble next Sunday at Hampden. But when Michael Beale came out today, started saying that basically Aberdeen hadn't played that well, they were just kind of lumping it forward. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the effect he's making. The two goals that we lost, the first one, the guy didn't mean it, and there should have been a foul given against us in the build-up to the second goal, given for us in the build-up to the second goal. There was no real pull on Fashion Sakala, as Michael Beale was implying. I found that a bit concerning, because if Aberdeen were as poor as Michael Beale was making out, then why the hell are we losing to them? If they're just lumping the ball into the box, why the hell are we letting them score from it? And he said a thing a few months ago, Michael Beale, when he first took over as Rangers manager, that I thought it was spot on. It was nicely phrased, that we get seduced by possession, and not to be too crude about it, today we were downright shafted by our first half possession. That thing of having the ball, having plenty of it, not being able to do anything with it. We had a couple of cracking chances. We were a bit unlucky. Kind of quarter of an hour into the game, Fashion Sakala's at the back post and nods one down for Alfredo, who spins on it around about 6 yards out, kind of point blank, as a good shot on goal, but it's cleared off the line. Fashion himself then takes a lovely ball from Malik Tillman. He leaves Ross McCrory in his backside. He's clean through and goal, but he hits it straight at the goalkeeper. But as a half wore on, you're wondering, we weren't really kind of upping the pressure so much. We had more of the ball, but it's that old story, and it is an old story. It's a story that was there before Michael Beale, and he's largely helped us overcome this situation where we play against teams other than Celtic. And when we've got plenty of the ball, we look like we're expecting them to kind of sit back and go, oh my God, Rangers, you are just so pretty in possession, we're just going to let you have a few goals. No, teams like this, teams like Aberdeen, will just say it's still 0-0. Rangers haven't scored and they're getting emboldened by it. They're getting stronger all the time. I think that's why, in particular, the bad old days when the first couple of seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, even into Steven Gerrard's reign, when we're first back in the top flight, we seem to lose so many late goals, sickening late goals. And I think because we didn't seem to realise that teams were just happy that we hadn't actually pummeled them. There's just that basic, as Todd Cantwell was alluding to in the press conference during the week, there's a kind of basic hatred of Rangers in this country, which means teams we are their cup final a lot of the time, and that's something we should be able to take advantage of. That's a massive compliment to us. But in days like today, if we're not at it, they will keep coming at us. I think the only big surprise today was that Aberdeen didn't score their 2 goals in the last couple of minutes like we used to concede these kind of goals when we first come back into the top flight. We lined up, what was it, with the all blue kit on today, and I thought, maybe that's a good sign. We don't wear the white socks. I hate it, we wear the white socks at Pittodrie, but we never get beat at Pittodrie, but we haven't done for about 8 years almost, so maybe that was a bad omen. We were shooting towards the wrong end against second game in a row, but we won 5-2 last week against St Mirren. We did that at Ibrox, so that was a wee omen. You're always worried, I think, when you're playing against Aberdeen the week before you're playing Celtic. They're the kind of, when they're just the starter, when Aberdeen are just the starter to the main event, at least you take your eye off the ball. You really need to be fully focused when you go into Pittodrie. So, you're seeing Celtic as the kind of main course, and Aberdeen are like this, they're having, tomato soup for a start, and they just went and stained we've got them all over our nice blue shirt. So it's not a nice day. I don't want to pile into the players too hard. I don't want to pile into the manager too hard, because he's been doing well up until now. And as I say, this could be, the experience tells you, this could be the very thing we need to do if we're going to beat Celtic. Break this narrative. Michael Beale beats everybody else and then he doesn't beat Celtic. So let's just look at it as, well, he hasn't beat everybody else today. He's lost to somebody other than Celtic today. He's dropped points to somebody other than Celtic today. So hopefully next week he finally beats Celtic. So I'm not going to pile into anybody until we see what happens at Hampden next Sunday. But it was poor. It really was awful. So we had plenty of possession in the first half, but we've done really well away from home under Beale. Tynecastle, at Easter Road, we've had these great performances, even at Livingston. We've just been in control from word go, but you really had to work for it. The players have needed to be totally up for it, and today there was a certain kind of lackadaisicalness there. Distribution of the ball was poor, and the concern was, we had plenty of it. I used to go to this chip shop in Ardrossan back in the 80s, and the lassie behind the counter would say to me, well, they're not very good, but I'll give you plenty of them. It was a bit like that with possession. We had lots of the ball. We're stroking it about a lot, but a lot of the time it wasn't very good. John Lundstrom's kind of on and off it when it came to giving the ball out to other players, but it was getting worse the further back we went. And that was a real concern. Ben Davies, a couple of hairy moments in what should have been easy possession in the first half. And right in the stroke of half time, James Tavernier is looking up the park. Doesn't really see anything on, but tries to make out that he can see Nicholas Raskin is available, and Raskin's kind of just coming into his own half, and Tav misses him, doesn't get the ball to him, and this is deep in the right back position from Tav, and Aberdeen are kind of through in a dangerous area. It didn't come to anything then, but it did in the second half when Tav's tried the same thing out to kind of backpedaling Alfredo Morelos, who is on the kind of right wing, but he's just inside our half, doesn't get there. The Aberdeen fullback Scales gets there first, and he's going for the back post. It's all big laughs on Sky about it. The guy is going for the back post, and it sails right into the top corner. I don't think you can really criticise Alan McGregor for that one. And there is, even the Aberdeen goalie who wasn't playing today. He was on Sky Sports News. He's doing a bit of punditry today, and he was saying that the wind kind of catches it really awkwardly in that area of Pittodrie. Pittodrie is just right on the North Sea, basically. So in it goes into the top corner, and you're just thinking, yeah, this is what happens. We had plenty of the ball in the first half, couldn't do anything with it, and Aberdeen, instead of going in at half time and thinking, God, we got away with one, then Aberdeen are going in at half time and they're thinking, we haven't lost a goal in the previous 4 games, Aberdeen. They're going to go there, they're thinking, we've got the clean sheet, we're looking like we've kept another clean sheet for another half of football, let's just push it a bit. And they've pushed it just enough to get that first goal, and while they're buzzing from that, they basically end up getting a second. So Michael Beale's a legend that fashions a car as he tried to run over the halfway line towards the Aberdeen goal, was kind of pulled back, fashioned himself, didn't he seem to have any, the guy kind of reaches out his arm, but end up with another ball getting pinged to our back post. Not good, between, I would say, Ben Davies and Borna Barisic. I couldn't really tell you who's supposed to be beyond the guy at the back post. And I don't think they really knew either. And again, we have somebody heading the ball into the back of your net, putting the ball in the back of your net from the 6-yard line. Basically, it happens so often. This is, I think, the 4th game at the last 5 where we've conceded 2 goals at least. We conceded 3 at Parkhead. So it's not looking good, Rangers. A lot of things to be concerned about. Did you get your emergency beep at 3 o'clock today? Your phone going off, the government telling you we're just testing out this situation for disasters. Well, if we don't win, that's what it felt like. I know it's a bit corny, it's a bit an obvious line, but I've never refused an obvious line. This was a big warning for Rangers today. We've got to be on it next week, and we're really going to have to step it up a notch. The league is totally gone. Ironically, we're looking at a situation where next Sunday we could give Celtic the treble. And the following week, if the SPL were cool enough with the fixtures, Celtic could be winning the league at Ibrox. It's not going to happen like that. But I think there's a few old chickens come home to roost today. I'm not going to pile into anybody too hard. Connor Goldson and Ryan Kent looked absolutely magnificent by their absence today. Anybody who's kind of down on them can see why we need those guys. Yeah, it's just been a really crap day, guys. It's a rushed kind of reaction pod here because with the late kick-off, we've got a pod coming out. We've got a full pod. The Sunday night flagship show is coming up in a couple of hours. It's going to be Colin hosting, and he'll have Ross and Brian Archer. Brian will be on, so you guys will give you a much better analysis of this game than I've managed. Please join us there. That's 9:30 live on our YouTube channel. Crap day, folks. Absolutely crap day. But hopefully, as I say, it's just the kind of part 1 to the oldest 2-part story in the book, which ends with Rangers winning at Hampden next week. See you then, guys.